Remember when smartwatches were in? You could say that Android Wear initially propagated interest, but subsequently it turned out that they weren't being as heavily adopted by consumers. Apple, on the other hand, eventually struck gold with the Apple Watch, which was launched back in the spring of 2015. Fast forward to now, we're finally seeing a refresh in the Series 2 Apple Watch. Upgrades are expected with this latest iteration, but is it really worthy enough to earn that spot on your wrist? Side by side to its predecessor, the new Series 2 Apple Watch looks identical, so you'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference. Our particular review unit, the 42mm aluminum casing with a woven nylon band, still has the same square-shaped design from before. Yes, you could say it lacks style or flavor, but there's still a hint of modern elegance behind it. Plus, it's incredibly sturdy and solidly built. It's available in two sizes, 38mm or 42mm, as well as coming in 3 different finishes, so that's aluminum, stainless steel, and ceramic. As for the bands, they're easily replaceable and come in various colors and materials, so there's a lot of personalization. What's different and new here is the improved water resistance protection up to 50 meters, meaning you could take it in for a dip in a pool, something you couldn't do before. You essentially have more peace of mind when it comes to that kind of stuff. Sure, it makes sense to have an improved water resistant construction, but it still can't escape that bland look with its square shape. Well, maybe things would have been different if it had a round face style design instead of opposed to the square one that it has now and it continues to recycle. It could have been a home run with the design, but I guess there's always next year, right? Apple didn't change anything with the display from a spec standpoint. What we get here is a 1.65-inch 390 by 312 AMOLED display with Force Touch technology. Interestingly though, the stainless steel and ceramic versions get treated with a sapphire crystal glass, whereas the aluminum casing, such as ours here, features Ion X glass. We're actually impressed by it because we smacked it accidentally a couple of times, but it remains spotless. When it comes to visibility, this AMOLED panel delivers a potent punch that makes it visible on sunny days. Pair that with its neutral color reproduction and exceptional viewing angles, it has the qualities of making it an effective screen for a smartwatch. Well, I really don't care that the resolution stays the same because it's still detailed, it's still sharp, and obviously you can read stuff right on it. Another new addition is the introduction of built-in GPS. It's a nice perk for those who don't want to be bothered with carrying or even holding their phone as they're running or walking. Having it simply means it has less reliance to the iPhone when it comes to tracking our location. The heart rate sensor on the underside acts and functions no differently from last year's model. Fitness junkies will appreciate that it can continuously track their heart rate while exercising, so it means getting a precise calorie burn in the process. And while Force Touch isn't new, its implementation is definitely appreciated when it comes to navigating through the interface. Almost every app, including third-party ones, use it to a degree. It streamlines the process, so we're not spending a whole lot of time scrolling through stuff. Inside, we have a brand new dual-core Apple S2 processor. Now, given Apple's reputation of performance consistency with its products, it's no shock that the Series 2 Apple Watch maintains the same buttery responses we're familiar with. Seriously, there's barely any considerable delay with its processing performance. The only time we're ever waiting is when data is being transmitted from an iPhone to the Apple Watch, like browsing the Amazon app, which is expected and all. You really get a sense for its speediness when you navigate through its honeycomb-like apps panel. When it comes to smartwatch software, no one does it better than Apple, and that's the sad truth. Android Wear failed to be captivating, while Samsung's Tizen-powered Gear S2 is still lacking when it comes to meaningful third-party apps. Apple, on the other hand, has been far more aggressive than anyone else. With watchOS 3, Apple has worked with developers to offer the richest smartwatch experience around, and that's no understatement. We're most astounded by how there's minimal interaction required with an iPhone. Sure, we can do most of the same stuff other smartwatches can do, such as making phone calls, replying to text messages, reading emails, and controlling our music, but where the Apple Watch separates itself from the pack is its diverse third-party app support. For example, we can reply to messages with the Slack app, we can find restaurants with Yelp, we can order a pizza through Domino's, and even check into a spot using Swarm. These are real apps offering real functions, not just an aggregator for notifications. And that's exactly what makes watchOS 3 so ahead of the pack in terms of what you can do on the watch itself. There's also a huge emphasis on health and fitness because it goes a distance to include some unconventional stuff, like breathing techniques or tracking how frequently we stand. All of this just proves that Apple has the benchmark when it comes to what we want in a smartwatch platform. And that's saying a lot, but it's definitely warranted because of the comprehensiveness that comes with the platform. Now, the only thing missing from its recipe is probably complete independence in the form of some sort of wireless cellular connectivity baked in. With the new Apple Watch, its 250 mAh battery manages to impress us by producing a solid 2 days of usage. That's a lot of time with a smartwatch when you think about it. When it comes to charging, nothing changes with the process, seeing that it still employs the same magnetic charging as before. Of course, it would have been better if the charging cradle kept the Apple Watch upright while charging, but it doesn't. The price of the Series 2 Apple Watch depends on what combination you end up going with. At the base level, you can fetch one for as low as $369. That's still expensive, and when you factor in that the original is now $100 less at $269, it makes you think about its value. The meaningful differences here with Series 2 model is its increased water resistance protection, the built-in GPS, the brighter display, and the newer processor. It's tough to say whether that $100 difference justifies all of that. We will say that the improved water resistance is great on its own. It's a tough sell given that the watchOS 3 experience is identical on both smartwatches. To that degree, if you can live without the improved water resistant construction, you're better off going with the Series 1 model, mainly for the savings. In comparison to other newer smartwatches, the Series 2 Apple Watch has a convincing argument, given how it's vastly superior with its apps ecosystem. Okay, so even though I'm not a fan of the design, I gotta say that the Apple Watch has a convincing ecosystem. The apps are so useful, and it's very functional on its own. So if you guys want to learn more about this, you could check out our website, tabtimes.com. This is John B, signing out.